how China completely played young men and how this could happen in America if we're not careful. Okay. So this is something that is about their housing crisis and how housing is connected to being responsible enough to start a family and get married. You got to be able to first afford a home, yada, yada, yada. Well, what happened is they built a bunch of houses on government subsidies. The whole thing is collapsing, so on and so forth. But he makes this point that he brushes over outside of the housing crisis that I think is so relevant to what could happen in America if we're not careful, specifically with our deteriorating birth rates.
For marriage, men frequently need to win permission from their would-be bride's parents in order to go through with the marriage, which often centers around the expectation of home ownership. Making this factor even more crucial and further extending the property-driven madness is the demographic crisis that's been the result of China's one-child policy.
Okay, so he's saying, hey, people need to be able to buy a home, and that's a part of like getting engaged. Yeah, that's how you win over someone's parents.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Given the relatively widespread traditional preference for a family to have a son to carry on their lineage, especially if they can have only one child, many used ultrasounds to determine their unborn child's sex.
Pause it. So when they had the one-child policy, you can only have one. This was up until 10 years ago. They would use ultrasounds to determine the sex of the babies and then kill babies that they didn't want.
Crazy.
Because they couldn't pass down
their name
and their legacy.
Dorks.
Okay. Can you see how this goes wrong?
Everyone does it, and it's just a bunch of dudes being born. That's crazy.
Darkness.
That's incredibly awful.
They had this one-child policy, forced abortions on people who had more than one child. And then the people that did have one child would have abortions when it was just when it was a girl. Now, what do you think that's going to do to a country's demographics?
Yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of dudes, and then they can't have families because the market is competitive.
Well, it's harder to then find a spouse because there's more men than women. So then just sheer supply and demand, you have to then go above and beyond. So you got to get into this goofy real estate market, buy a home, pay for it that you're never going to live in. And you're not actually buying the land, you're renting the land that's that's government owned for like 95 years or something like that.
It's like a manufactured home lot. Like you rent the land, you buy the home, put it on the lawn.
Kind of, but worse than that. Go ahead.
Being widespread if it was a girl. The scale of this gender selection was absolutely massive. Demographers estimate that between 1980 and 2010, approximately 23 million girls were missing from
Darkness.
Went missing.
China's population due to sex selective.
23 million girls. What was the years that they said?
1980 and 2010.
So that's the years we were born. 23 million girls zapped because of reproductive health care.
Wow. That's insane. It also does that create a bunch of incels? Because they're all like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all.
You thought the dating market was rough in America. You thought Fresh and Fit was onto something here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You have no idea.
In America, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is go to college. Or church. But colleges have a crazy, if we're talking about ratios, they have a crazy ratio.
They have way more women than
men. 3 to 1.
Yeah.
It's insane.
As well as female infanticide. China now has roughly 30 to 40 million more men than women. For millions of Chinese...
That is so many.
30 to 40 million more men than women.
Wow. Someone didn't think
so. In a population of a billion, you probably aren't going to see that. I think it's a billion Chinese, something like it's a lot of people. It's more than America. You're not going to see that on like walking through China. But
I gotta say,
in the dating sphere between 1980 and 2010, that's a massive dip. And there's 23 million women that were zapped.
I gotta say, Asians get way too many props for being good at math and then pulling something like this.
Yo,
like we're all sitting here and it's like, yeah, if you all the girls, then it's gonna be bad, and then the workforce is gonna be lacking, and your army is gonna be bad, and then the elderly are gonna be old and still working because the workforce is, and we're like just sitting here and like that was like kind of a basic realization, and I didn't even I got a C in calculus. And they're out here with the craziest stereotypes, and they're the top officials that run the nation of China
just
are like
fumbled,
or just
fumbled,
just punting it, just like, yeah, I think if we just put this in place, it'll be good.
Yeah, I don't know if Chinese are the stereotype that they're good at math. I think that's more of a broader Asian stereotype.
That's why I said Asian and then brought it back to Chinese. You know.
And particularly in rural areas, the maths simply means they'll never find a wife. For those who throw their hat in the ring of this skewed marriage market, it further ramps up the expectations for getting married. Families have begun regularly going into debt to help their sons buy an apartment, knowing that without property ownership, finding a spouse would just be next to impossible. Elvis fan.
Wow.
Yep.
So he's making the case for why the property stuff is so bad in China.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the root cause of it, it goes back to this one massive issue that we've been talking about for years,
which is
on the
population.
channel, which is the population.
The actual population, people having kids and lots of kids. I want to say 2.1 is just to maintain population. 2.1.
I don't know how I'm supposed to get my 0.1. That's the confusing part.
Yeah, 2, you're talking about the downstream effects of the termination of babies.
Hello.
I don't mean to be a conspiracy nut, but one can argue that one of the reasons, if we're not going off of the Christian pro-life position, one of the reasons why they're chipping away at abortion and aligning with Christians is a pragmatic one.
Yes.
It's either open up the borders or it's like, y'all got to have more kids, dog.
We got to start telling these white girls to have babies. Otherwise, we're going to have a bunch of Muslims here.
No, for real. So I'm saying, like, if we're going to go off of the sheer self-preservation of any sort of identity markers within America.
I shouldn't have said that. We need to use AI to change what I said.
No, we're not changing that. We're leaving that in. You standing 10 toes down on that. That is so as a Christian, I'm going, no, that's a human life. Leave it alone. Let it grow because that's going to turn into a person. But from a purely pragmatic standpoint, the elites in America don't want to happen what's going to happen in China and South Korea. So you could argue from a conspiratorial standpoint, some of what they're doing in terms of trying to decrease the abortion rates is y'all just gonna have to have more kids, dog.
It's kind of like, and I hate to say it, we were right all along.
We were right all along. And by the way, I think there's better incentives. How about you give us more tax breaks for having kids? How about you stop freaking taxing us at 60% in the major cities like New York and Los Angeles? How about you scale that back? And hey, if you have more than 2 kids, we're going to cut that rate in half. You want to see wealthy people have more kids?
Hello.
Make them stop paying 60% of their income to freaking...
Yeah, they're all going to be like families of 15 living in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I think that's the issue. So anyway, I think if I'm being honest, I think there may be some of that playing into this weird alliance with the pro-life side.
Wow.
You know?
I think that's super interesting. I think if anything, it just validates that like God's ways lead to human flourishing.
Yes.
And so even the people that don't follow God's ways implemented things that were not God's ways, saw destruction, are on the other side of it, and are being very pragmatic about the realization that God's ways lead to human flourishing.
Amen. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you liked it, then hit the like button. If you liked it a lot and have a thought to share, leave a comment. If you are listening to this on the podcast app, make sure to leave a review, and you could even leave a comment over there. And if you want to watch another video that is recommended just for you, hit this video over here. Let me know if they nailed it. Also, you can partner with us monthly, which helps us out a lot in our monthly community. Get access to early drops and all that kind of good stuff over here. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.